Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Student Agencies podcast. Today, we're joined by Kim, Director of Strategy and Execution at Citi. Kim is a Cornell alum and former Student Agencies leader with experience spanning PwC M&A consulting, corporate strategy at Morgan Stanley, and now driving cross-functional execution in Citi's trade finance business. Thanks so much for joining, Kim. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So to get us started and kick us off, tell us a little bit more about how you heard about student agencies, when you joined, why you joined, and just kind of the introduction to student agencies.
I joined a very long time ago, I think like 2 decades ago, so it's been quite some time. But I was originally a pre-med major, so did really well in sciences when I was in high school, and I thought I wanted to become a doctor, go down that path. And then as I took more science classes my freshman year, I wasn't sure if that was the route for me, and then I started branching out into other majors. So I was in the ag school, so looking at different majors was a easy thing to do. So I started taking business classes, business 101, etc. So I never really thought about going to business when I was before coming to college, basically. And then as I was trying to learn more and learn quickly about what business actually meant and what finance meant and what were the different paths within that, I found student agencies. I think it was a recruiting session where at one of like my classes or something like that, and I found it really interesting. What really hooked me in was that we have the hands-on experience as a student. So there are so many opportunities on campus. I actually had multiple jobs like at different school centers and libraries, etc. And those are great for just meeting other student bodies and obviously for a paycheck, but you don't get that hands-on experience. So that really drew me into student agencies. So then started, just learning about them more and just got more and more interested. And I was really happy that I was recruited and was able to join for a year.
Yeah. What did you do for the year you were at student agencies?
Yeah, so I was always interested in strategic projects. So I joined as an analyst for the new business development team. So thinking about new businesses, thinking about new products, essentially. So looking at the portfolio that we currently have, and then just seeing what else could we do. So thinking about new businesses. At the time, we had hired hands, we had movers. We had yearbook, a lot of things. I guess the staples that you guys have now, and I've seen that you guys expanded your portfolio even more. So one of my job was to think about those extended portfolios, thinking about what else do students need, what else could we help them with, and what offerings could we expand on. So funny enough, that's continued to be my path throughout my career. I went into consulting, went into corporate strategy at Morgan Stanley, like you mentioned, and now at Citi. So continuously thinking about what's next, thinking about what is disrupting our business and how do we get ahead of that. So that was, I guess, the start of my career.
How do you, as a corporate strategy professional, like what did the progression look like from student agencies where you're sort of like figuring out what is this thing to being a consultant to then being a corporate strategy professional, and also maybe touch on, what data sets did you use, what rigor of analytics did you use, and then how did you maybe communicate those ideas and manage stakeholders and all that sort of lovely stuff that goes into that package that is strategy?
Yeah, so frankly, it was quite a while ago, and when I was a student and thinking about all those different pillars, first off, it was what was the current state. So looking at the portfolio, like I mentioned, and then thinking about and talking to students, what do they need? What else are they looking for? So one of the ideas that we thought about was a water delivery system. At Cornell, most students do not have a car. It's pretty expensive to have one, and going to Pyramid Mall and to Target and all those areas was pretty, time consuming and also restrictive. But then obviously everyone needs water. So how do we get that to them? And it's kind of like a current day Uber or carrier where we can deliver a service. And that time we focus on water since that's an essential and it's quite inexpensive. So that was one of our projects to do that research, talk to students, get I guess like a marketing campaign on like focus groups, who's actually interested, also the pricing. So doing research on where do we actually do the sourcing? Could we get things for cheaper in bulk? So we did all that analysis, really looking at the supply and demand essentially, and then the break even, the cost analysis, really how profitable would this business actually be? And then we pitched it to the board. Obviously, this is a I don't know, takes a pretty long time to launch a business like this. And frankly, I think it didn't launch in my tenure, and ultimately, I don't think it launches. I don't see it in the portfolio, but it gave me a lot of experience and just that thinking, the strategic thinking on how do you actually evaluate a business, evaluate an idea. So it comes from the I guess genesis of idea, but then is it actually feasible? Does the market actually want this? What is the cost of it? What is the potential benefit? What is the potential ROI? So that's something that I continue to do today. And when you talk about working with various stakeholders, I mean, we're in this market, in this environment, we're constantly working with people across the organization, across companies, across different even competitors. So it's constantly working with others and not just being siloed in your current work or even like your team, your business, but how do we cross sell? How do we work with other parts of a bank, of a company, so that we can bring one service to our clients? So even as student agencies, it would be how do we service one student or one group of students? See that you've added on even like, looking at decorating a dorm room, or how do we really improve the whole experience of a student rather than I can, take pictures for them for the yearbook or sell them a yearbook, and we can do multiple things for them. So when I think about our stakeholders, it's really looking at what is our whole portfolio and how do we improve the experience and the solutions that we currently have and deliver that to our clients and whoever we are working with.
Awesome. So you basically are doing the same thing you did at student agencies, just with like bigger dollar values and more stakeholders and higher risk.
Yeah, basically. Remember, it's like a little microcosm, I guess, at student agencies that start small and then you just keep on expanding on those experiences. And yeah, you just scale it up essentially.
Well, that's perfect. I mean, did that translate directly into your interview experience and how you got your first job?
Yeah, it definitely did. I talked about student agencies. I mean, especially as, graduating students, senior, junior, even talking about my experience was very useful. And it gives that leg up against, I guess, other students that don't have experience, especially this is like very tangible and it is work experience. It's not just, projects, which obviously most students have, but it's drawing upon real life experiences. You see the impact. And I think it was so beneficial from student agencies where we are working with so many different businesses within student agencies, but also getting that guidance from, experienced professionals, but we're not relying on them. We're still thinking about it from with our, brain power and from our point of view as a student. And yeah, it's just having that entrepreneurial spirit, which I think it's so important to have. And no matter what industry, no matter what even level you are in your career, you want to own whatever you are working on, and people will value you for that, and obviously that would drive you as you become a professional as well.
Being so young and being at student agencies, do you think is there a time you think back to when I'm not sure if you had a failure or you took a challenge that didn't go so well? Can you tell us a story about when things didn't go right?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, unfortunately, the business didn't launch as I was there. So I would say, unfortunately, that was a failure. It didn't go the way that we planned. So obviously, if it did get launched, it would be such a huge win. It would be very fulfilling. And like I mentioned, I mean, things don't go as planned. And even in my corporate world, we do a lot of research. We plan to launch a product, but I mean, especially at a bank where we're so heavily regulated and we need so much buy-in and so much controls and approvals, things don't go as planned, even if we put in a lot of, work and rigorous analysis, buy-in, everything that you need to get some approval. But ultimately, things don't get approved and things don't launch. So yeah, with that, it is a failure, but I do see the experience and getting that, yeah, just the whole experience and understanding that business model and really just the skill set that I was able to gain from that. So ultimately, I don't see failures or I guess things that we aren't able to accomplish as a negative thing. We keep continuing to learn on how to improve, how do we get things launched, how do we get to the next project and get things or get the result that we are anticipating. So yeah, with the failure that we had where we're not able to launch, things that I would continue to do would, I think it was, yeah, just more rigor and maybe even just like pivoting quicker or pivoting to different products or solutions. So really learning why that didn't happen or why was it not approved, and also just like doing things faster. Like I mentioned, when we were doing the whole analysis and doing the pitching, it did take multiple months. And obviously, even particularly in this environment, things move so fast where we need to launch things. And sometimes maybe we launch product even when it's not 100% there to test the market. And obviously, you do it in a smaller scope and then you can improve on it and get it to a place where it gets to be, I guess, optimal. But as we see, products and solutions, they continue to improve. So sometimes it's really getting a product that's good enough and getting people's buy-in and using it rather than getting the perfect solution when we launch.
Curious, you've been in financial services for a while. AI has come on the scene pretty hardcore in the last 3 years. Financial services is definitely a place where we hear a lot of news about it being applied. How is it affecting your day-to-day work? How have you seen the sort of curve of adoption and utility of it? What can we expect in the next year?
Yeah. I think you should expect a lot. So even the last few months, it's picked up so much. At Citi internally, we are constantly using AI, and it's been such a heavy area of focus across the firm. And it's not for just in one area. So it's definitely helping us in our daily activities, helping us be more productive. Like for me personally, I'm using it a lot for emails, like looking at helping me summarize things, reading things faster, drafting emails, sometimes things that just like daily tasks that take, even half an hour, you could truncate it down to a few minutes. And obviously that translate or cascades down and just helps you save a lot of time. So those are some of the, I guess, quick wins for me doing things faster. And we're also just doing things more, so not just efficiently, but better controls too. So think less mistake, looking at numbers, helping us with analyses. And that's just, I guess, like our daily activities. But then we're looking at how do we improve it for the clients. Obviously, can't talk about everything, but just in thematics wise, looking at how do we grow our business, how do we inform our product sets, and definitely controls is one of those. Like there are a lot of manualness in activities that we do at a bank and financial services. So how do we automate as much as we can? And obviously we don't rely on AI. It's more of a tool where we can do things faster, but we still need the human check. I constantly tell my team, don't rely on it. Don't just take it for granted that it's 100% correct. Whatever it's spitting out, you still need to check all the numbers, check everything that it's saying. And we do hear about like the hallucinations, which is completely accurate. We see hallucinations all the time. It kind of takes things that it's seen in one area and put it into just interpret what you're trying to say. So yeah, I constantly say I leverage it kind of like an analyst, give as much information and give as much instruction to AI as you can. And still, you need to check everything and make sure that we have that human aspect to it as well. So, yeah, in the next year, I'm sure it will accelerate even faster. I think, yeah, we've been hearing about it for the last couple of years, but I think it's really at the tipping point where these tools are really working for us, and they're just even accelerating faster and faster in terms of development and deployment.
It sounds very exciting.
So
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what else we have. I work very closely with our AI team, particularly focus on trade, my business. So we are constantly asking like the whole business, what else can we do? What other use cases are there? Like I mentioned, not just from our daily activities, but for the client, from like finance point of view, from controls point of view, for every part of our business.
yeah, and now I'm curious to bring it back to student agencies. If you obviously have all the new knowledge and everything that you've gained since leaving student agencies, if you had to start a new business or look back to how student agencies should grow now with whatever knowledge you have left of Cornell, what ideas would you have?
bringing me back to my job before.
Yep, can't escape it.
I guess I'm starting to think about the whole student experience again. So, I mean, it's been such a long time, and obviously, I know it's a different environment now. So, just seeing what would help a student, especially the newcomers, like a freshman. How do you get them to be a better experience as a freshman, getting acclimated to college life, getting acclimated to yeah, just more responsibilities. You don't have someone telling you when to go to class, what classes to take. You really have that become an adult. So it's something that happens kind of overnight. And even for me as a freshman, freshman year, I think my first semester was pretty difficult just getting acclimated to the student body life. So I really am focused on, I guess, mental health, and I would really want some service or a platform for, I guess, improving the freshman experience. How do we get them to maybe have a bigger community, more support, and even guidance, like tackling transition from high school to college? I don't know if that is an actual business, or maybe it's just like activities and creating this community, which becomes more like a social group for the students.
100%. I mean, it's funny because we actually have the some very similar mindset in terms of strategy. Recently, we've launched a few new products to kind of help bridge that transition, as you were mentioning,
That's awesome.
such as the freshman yearbook. We're bringing that back, having a way to meet your classmates and figure out what to
Yeah.
do, or we launched a beds business where you kind of convert your Excel into a queen size bed for students
Mhm.
who feel like they need a little bit more space when
Yeah.
sleeping. So, yeah, I'm glad we're both still aligned on the same vision, and our mission is always to provide Cornell students, not just freshmen, but everyone, more valuable services and products. So yeah, I'll kick it back to Dan to wrap us up.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say thanks so much for taking the time. It's always impressive to me to see a working professional take time out of their day to chat with us about the experiences that they had in college. Clearly, it was really important, and yeah, deeply grateful. Thanks for
Of course,
sharing all of your
anytime.
wisdom and stories with us.
I wouldn't want to say wisdom, but I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. We're happy to give back and spend time with you guys. I'm really excited to see how far student agencies have come and all the exciting new services that you guys are offering and will continue to offer. So we'll love to see what you do with this freshman focus service.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks.
great. Thank
All right.
you.